bangs. That was so loud, my voice like cracked. Anyways, today I thought I would make a what I watched in February and January video. I was gonna do one in January and I just never got around to it, so this is like combining both of them. But hopefully for the rest of the year I'll do like one every month, you know? I'm only gonna talk about a couple that I watched because I watched a whole bunch, but the ones I don't talk about that I still watched, I'll put up like a quick little summary of what I thought about it or whatever. The first movie I watched was probably like the best choice to start off the year, and that is The Worst Person in the World. This movie, oh my gosh. I've had since January 2nd when I watched it to think of something to say. I can't do it. The cast, absolutely incredible. What's his name? Hang on. Anders Danielson Lee? I don't know. He's incredible. I love his work. He's so talented. And I can't remember the girl's name either. I'm so bad with names. I apologize. She did so well. It was so believable and it felt so real and it was so like close and intimate and it was just it was so good. The cinematography in this was so beautiful. Next is 68 Kill. I truthfully only watched this because Matthew Gray Gubler is in it, and I hate to say it, but this movie sucks. This movie is so bad. It's such just like a trashy slasher film, and I truthfully don't think I'd ever watch it again. That being said, it was fun, I guess. I'm moving past this one so quickly because I don't want to talk about it anymore. Juno. I love Juno so much. Literally, I love anything Elliot Page is in. I love anything Michael Cera's in. It was so cute and the soundtrack was amazing. I've been listening to the soundtrack since like before I watched the movie. Like, it's just so good. I think the ending was like the sweetest thing I've ever seen in my life. I feel like I'm racing through these. I do have one that I know I'm gonna talk on and on and on about at the end, so bear with me. The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. This was directed by Wes Anderson, so you know, like, it's gonna be incredible. It was done in such a unique way. You know, most book adaptations are just like, if in the book it's like, this character said da-da-da, then in the movie, like, that character will say it. But no, it was like he was reading the story, but he was also in it. So he would like say his line and be like, I said. It was so fast-paced and it was so much fun. I really loved it. After that, I watched I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Hot take, I didn't like it. I don't know if I just watched it too late at night and like could not comprehend what was going on. It was just so slow. Like, I literally felt like I was sitting there watching it for like 3 hours. And I love when movies like mess with your head, but this messed with it to a point where it's like, I'm not having fun. Like this, I'm just confused. And if that's your cup of tea, I'm not judging you. I think it's great. It's just not for me. I didn't like it. It also felt very like pretentious in a way, and I can definitely get pretentious when it comes to movies. Don't get me wrong. I'm guilty of it. I'm being a little bit hypocritical right now. But especially like the first car scene, just that whole thing was so pretentious. And again, if that's your thing, if you think that's cool, I'm not judging you. I just hated every second of it. Whatever. Jacob's Ladder. This movie was so good. I think it was a recommendation from one of my friends. I don't remember. I know I talked to one of my friends about it. However, I came about this movie. It was so good. This is how you do a movie that like messes with your mind. The acting in this was so incredible. It actually inspired me to start a little list in my notes app of some of the best acting I've ever seen. My little list. Oh, you can't even see it. My screen is so bright. It was so good. Like, it didn't even feel like I was watching a movie, you know? Like, it truly felt so authentic. The twist was crazy too. I'm trying to talk about these without spoiling anything. Black Swan. I also don't know why I watched so many like psychological and like confusing films this month. I guess I was like going through it. Like movie after movie after movie, there was like an unreliable narrator. Like, it just made no sense. But with Black Swan specifically, I think it was very thrilling. Like, sometimes, as much as I love movies, sometimes I'll be sitting there and I'll just get distracted. I just can't pay attention to it, but this one like never lost my attention for the entire time. I was so hooked the whole time and it was so good. The Killing of a Sacred Deer, another messing with your mind one. I am now looking at this list and I don't know what I was going through, but this was so good. While I was watching it, I realized it was based off of the story of Artemis, I think, and you know, the killing of a sacred deer. It makes sense. This movie was so like unsettling. Like, it made me feel so weird, but I loved it. Like, it was so good. I watched Boy Erased, and my only note on this is I ugly cried for so long. And it's true. I was in shambles, dude. I was in pieces. It's such a sad story because it's so real. Prisoners. This movie was so good. The whole cast, first of all, the cast was stacked. It was a crazy cast. All of their performances were just so real, you know? And it was so good. I need to rewatch it again sometime soon. It was so good. I watched May December twice. The first time I watched it, I was like, this is really slow and really sad. And then I finished the movie and I was like, this sucked. This was awful. But then I was thinking about it like the rest of the next entire day, and I was like, I need to rewatch this. So I rewatched it. There is so much more to this than I like thought. It's such a heartbreaking story covered up by just such like a mundane one. And I think that's so real, you know? I feel like a lot of times there are like just boring things that cover up just absolute insanity, so nobody pays attention to it. I watched Saltburn and it was so good. It was very interesting for sure, but the amount of like ties into like Greek mythology and even like Shakespeare, it was so good. It was such a good story, and the cinematography like was just so, it was unreal. Like it was so beautiful, and the cast was incredible. Again, Barry Keoghan plays a little freak. Who wouldn't love that? Like with Greek mythology, there are elements of like Theseus and the Minotaur, and it looked beautiful too. The color and the lighting and just the whole surrounding setting was so beautiful. Speaking of Greek mythology, this last one is the one that I wanted to talk about the most. I thought with this series I would really only talk about movies, but I watched this, it's a show, and I just need to talk about it. Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I am a total loser when it comes to Percy Jackson, okay? My sister has the first book right now, she's reading it, but like literally I am such a loser when it comes to Percy Jackson. I loved it in middle school, I was so obsessed, I found like such a home in the books, and then the show came out and I was like, oh, I remember this a little bit, like let me watch it just to see. Oh my gosh, I have fallen so deeply back into my old obsession, it's crazy. I think it was cast so perfectly. So many people are mad, like, oh, Percy's supposed to have like green eyes and black hair, you know, Annabeth's supposed to be this like blonde white girl and da-da-da. Did you watch the show? Have you not seen the interviews where they are like literally exactly their characters? Like, it was cast so perfectly. Walker's line delivery as Percy is the funniest thing. I really like how in the show we get to see more of like Grover and Percy's like friendship, because I feel like we definitely saw it in the book, but not as much. I love that we see more of Sally. She deserves the world and more, honestly. Like, yeah, we got a little bit of her in the book again, but like in the show, she is such an important character, and like all the flashbacks, oh my gosh. We're getting into a bit of spoiler territory, so if you haven't read it, if you haven't seen it, stop watching now and go read it and go watch it, and then you can come back. Luke broke my heart. I knew what was coming. I knew what was gonna happen, and I still refused to believe it. Cause like after that first, I don't think it was the first episode, maybe the second one, whenever Percy and Luke meet, they're best friends. Like they just immediately click so well, and when Percy is trying to like talk to his mom, and he's like, I actually like made a real friend. I knew what was coming the whole time, and it still hurt so bad. In the scene where Percy and Luke are fighting, like I don't know if it was just the lighting or what, but it literally looked like Luke was like tearing up, being like, this wasn't meant to hurt you, Percy. I can't do it. I also like how in the show, when Percy finds out that he's a demigod, he like freaks out. You know, I feel like he took it pretty well in the book, but in the show, you know, he's freaking out. He's like, this is not real. He's like, you're just trying to make me feel better because I'm broken and I'm messed up. And they just went so deeply into that, and it was so incredible to see that. It really was. I also like that we get to see so much more of Grover just in general. I feel like in the book, he's just like kind of this funny little side character, but in the show, he has so much more depth. You just feel for him, you know? And like when he sees his Uncle Ferdinand, and that's just this whole scene, it's like, I'm just gonna tear up, whatever, just make me cry, I guess. Also, I loved the consensus song. I think that was an incredible touch. It was so much fun. Honestly, I might make a whole video just about Percy Jackson, just so I can talk about it more, but I'm gonna cut myself off here. I also watched these movies that I'm gonna be putting up on the screen while I talk, because I feel like that's more fun than just like a normal freeze frame. I'm pretty happy with the movies I watched these past 2 months. I hope you guys like this video. I had a ton of fun. Obviously, I had a ton of fun making it. I got to watch movies. And I will see you guys next time. Hopefully, I'm uploading again soon. I think I have a couple pretty good videos coming out, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.